Day.
August 13th?
Sounds right.
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yep. Perfect. And today, we're still on top of the climbing tower. It's still 8 a.m. And now we're looking at Luke chapter 14, verse 25 to something. So we'll start with 25. Did you want to read, Christine, or do you want me to read?
I'll read.
Okay.
A large crowd was following Jesus. He turned around and said to them, "If you want to be my disciple, you must hate everyone else by comparison, your father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. And if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. But don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you must complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. Then they would say, 'There's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it.' Or what king would go to war against another king without first sitting down with his counselors to discuss whether his army of 10,000 could defeat the 20,000 soldiers marching against him? And if he can't, he will send a delegation to discuss terms of peace while the enemy is still far away. So you cannot become my disciple without giving up everything you own." Should we read that last part?
I think we can stop there.
Okay.
That works for me. But yeah, we were just having a discussion too before we started about, is this really the cost of discipleship? And it really is. And it even, we should have read ahead because it even talked about the fact that it's everything. It's going to cost us everything to become a disciple of Christ. And, and I was thinking about this as it was going along, just the story, this idea of you start building a tower, but you can only lay the foundation and then people will tease you and mock you. And I think that's kind of like what happens to some people that they say they're Christian, but they haven't actually taken the time to learn what that means for them. And then they walk away from their faith. And I think that's that same idea. People are going to tease them like, "Oh, you thought you were a Christian, you thought you had this great God, and you didn't actually know what that was." Because they didn't. They thought they were going to get something out of it. Because I'm reading this and I don't hear a lot of what you're getting.
No.
This isn't about getting. This is about doing and working and not being able to finish. And so I just think people miss it sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of what it would be like to be in that situation with Jesus actually turning around and giving that message. Man, I don't know if I probably would have walked away.
Yeah.
I unless I knew for sure. And that's the part about this is that I can say clearly now, I would give up everything to follow Jesus and to have, a life connected with God, because I know it's worth it.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, that's I know that now, but that's a pretty hefty
thing to
cost.
do. Yeah. Would you be willing to do that then? All I can think of is that guy who wrote Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. So after he became a Christian, he lost all his family and everything like that, and he was looking outside and he saw a family walking by or something like that, and he was really angry with God because he says, I gave up everything, I gave up my religion that I had before, and now I'm following you, and I get nothing. And he just heard God saying to him, "It's not about you! It's about the gospel. It's about bringing it to everybody else. It's not about you getting what you wanted." Because God only promises to take care of our needs. He doesn't necessarily take care of all of our wants. Sometimes he does, but not always. And so it was just it was so powerful, this idea that, it really does cost everything. And I think you were talking too about, we don't want to be building a tower or doing anything unless we have God with us, because you brought up Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. So in vain, you get up early and you go to bed late, and you're just anxious all the time. And so it's like, if God's not in it, it doesn't work.
And I just know, and you know, we talk to people all the time about, you know, we share the gospel with others. We talk about the way God has touched our lives, and I know that I wouldn't want the emptiness of not having God in my life, but that's something that you need to discover for yourself, because I don't think you can really, it's something where you have to work out whether or not this cost is worth it.
Yeah.
And I can say it's worth it,
Oh,
but you're
me
not
too.
going to believe it's worth it until you
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess, yeah, like, because we were even talking about that, you know, so many people, they want to become Christians because they think there's this, like, great stuff they're going to get out of it. Like, life's going to be easy, my family will get back together, or I'll, you know, I won't have people hate me anymore, or whatever. There's all sorts of things that they think are going to happen. And then they become Christians, but they actually, none of that stuff changes. Their life doesn't change. But it's because they didn't go in for Christ for the right reason. Because you have to let him come live in you.
Yeah, because it's not your life that changes, it's you that changes. And when you change, your life does change, but sometimes the circumstances in your life don't change. It's the way you see those circumstances. And it really puts things into perspective. Things that you thought would be so important to you end up not being important at all.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I think all the time of, like, when people do things to me that, like, normally make me really angry, because I'm just like, why do people behave the way they do? And I find now, with Christ in me, I'm just like, something's happened in their life that, you know, they just can't. And it's so much easier to just be forgiving and let it go. And that, I think, is one of the best things about being a Christian and having Christ in us. So, I don't know. Didn't talk much about building a tower, but it is what the scripture verse was about for why we are on the tower. But I think we brought out the point, I think.
Yeah, it is a big cost, and it's something that you need to do a lot of deep thinking and considering about. But don't be afraid to question and to have those deep conversations with, you know, you can always chat to us or someone else you trust in the faith, because it would be better for you to work through those things than just
leave it. Yeah, because you see that all the time too. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say all the time, but you run into it on occasion where you meet people and they didn't deal with a problem, something that they didn't understand or whatever, and then, you know, they become a Christian and they stay a Christian for all these years, and then all of a sudden that thing that they never dealt with comes up, and all of that time building just, it falls down because they didn't have a good, strong foundation that could be built on.
Yeah. Build your foundation on the rock.
Yes.
And the rock is Christ.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
there you go.
That's perfect. And then the name of the Lord, strong tower. You know, this just all ties back together again, and, you know, recognizing that God is everything, like Rahab did, building a tower.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.